Hey
What's up,
guys,
fam?
it's another one, the Thunder and Lightning Show.
Brett!
Hey guys, this may look like a little different setup than where we're normally at because we're at DT School of Fitness, good friends of us in Colleyville, Texas. Hey, what street, what's the location? Cheeksparger, address, full address. 1009 Cheeksparger Road. We're here going to do an interview with some of our friends that are in the fitness game, local gym. Kind of started up a year after Elite Fitness did, people that we've known. I've never really sat down or met them, just known of them.
Through Instagram and stuff, you know?
No, through the Vine. When you're a business owner, you meet people, you know your fellow, fellow other colleagues, is what we call them. So we're gonna sit down, talk with them, talk shop, talk business. As we do this show, I wanna bring you guys, introduce you to more people, introduce you to more things. And this is going to be a fun one for us because Braden gets tired of hearing me talk to him about everything.
Just a little bit.
I'm sure they get tired of hearing themselves talk about each thing. So we're going to sit down and just talk about the gym life, what we're trying to do for our members and the environment we're trying to create for our members, and just spread the word of fitness and try to take over the whole Ville, Grapevine, HEB, all of them.
DF Dub.
So I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Hope you watch the whole thing. And we'll get back to the cooking show and everything, but today it's all about fitness at the School of Fitness, DT School of Fitness. I'm pretty good.
That was all right.
I think so. All right, guys, stay tuned. Hey, guys, again, we're at DT School of Fitness with some good friends. You guys know Coach Braden Hunt.
What's up? Coach Braden_Hunt.
This is Kadimah Duncan. What's your underscore? What's your handle? Instagram?
Kadimah84.
Kadimah84. And this is Casey Taylor.
Casey, what's my name?
Cross-
CrossFit Case 26.
CrossFit Case 26. We'll put it down right here.
Somewhere around.
Casey is a Colleyville Panther alumni. Shout out. But these guys are the owners of DT School of Fitness, and they're local gym owners. And what I want to do is just kind of, guys, thanks for being on the show, first of all. Thanks for
having us.
letting us come out.
Coming in.
No, we're coming to
There's
yeah. Thanks for letting us be here and sit down and talk shop. And being a gym owner is a different life than most, but beyond that, being business partners and running a gym is different. There comes those things with that. It's a marriage, for sure.
Yes, it is.
And what I want to do is, you guys have your members, we have our members, and we all want to get more members and get the whole community kind of more fired up and kind of get the excuses people have not to come in. We just want to give more reasons why to come in and why coaching is so important to us. Because if you take this endeavor on to be a coach, to own your own gym, it's not about you. It really is, you want to give back to the community, you want to teach people how to be fit, how to stay fit, and you want to help change lives.
Yes.
So, I'm gonna just ask some quick questions and we can just talk and see where it goes from there.
Okay.
Kadimah, because I don't know Kadimah, I just know of him. We've never met, this is our first time meeting.
Yep.
Really. Kind of, if you can, just kind of go into what got you into fitness, kind of what your history is, quick bio of who is Kadimah Duncan.
I'll try my best to keep it brief.
No, don't. Give it to him.
So, athlete growing up, just like you guys. Football, basketball, baseball, track, wrestling, you name it, I did it. And I had an acumen, and my coaches kind of recognized that I had an acumen for coaching, but I never wanted to be a high school coach.
Yeah, I get that.
And,
feel that.
I thought there was, and the one key thing for me was all my coaches were quitting coaching.
Yeah.
They were going in administration. They were doing other things. And the funny thing I thought was that owning a gym would be less time. That's
Wrong.
Sorely mistaken.
hilarious discussion there.
Learned
But
his lesson.
yeah, and I kind of ignored the passion because what I saw was I needed to. For me, it was important to have a financial means of supporting wife and family.
Yeah.
And I never thought you could do that.
Yeah.
The only evidence I had of that was people who were working at your typical Globo gym, and they were making $10 an hour.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's just
Not for me.
So
Yeah.
I'm just gonna ignore this passion and try to pursue what I thought was what I wanted, a corporate career and that kind of stuff. And about 27, I'd say I had my quarter life crisis, and I was in a position where we built a business from one room in a friend's house, moved to a small office, hired 3 employees, then fired 3 employees because we had no idea how to hire 3 employees. Got a new batch of employees. Then we actually traveled to Boston because all of our customers were in Boston. And so I had this kind of like, man, I'm like business traveling like business people do, and that was fulfilling for that very moment. And it just went back to the same Groundhog's Day of, I'm going to make some sales calls. I'm going to talk to people about software, because that's what I sold. I sold software.
Yeah.
I mean, I had passion for software, but I don't know how much passion you could say that was, And got a call from a friend in December. I think it was 2011. Got a call in December 2011 saying, hey, I need somebody to help me train these athletes. And every year before that, I turned it down. I said, no, I'm not interested. I'm busy with this. This year was different, and I said, I think I'm interested in this. And my wife, she was noticing that I was going through this phase of almost like a depression almost.
Yeah.
And I talked to her about it, and she thought it was a good idea. So I was like, because I was already gone 12 hours essentially, or really close to that. But this is going to put me another 3 hours away. So work out at 5:30 in the morning, go to work at 7:30 to 5:30 is the corporate work schedule I went to. And we lived in Lake Worth White Settlement area at the time, so I had to drive to Euless in 5:30 traffic when 8:20 was not 8:20 now.
Yeah.
So that was an hour.
That's a beating.
So then 6:30 to 9 o'clock is when I train the kids. Then I drive back, so that's another 45 minutes back, and I do that 4 days a week. We did that for 4 months. But it was clear to me that I was the best 3 hours of my day were training those kids.
Yeah.
So I knew that I was in the wrong career, and no matter what the consequence and the cost was now, is I had to pursue it. And so she was fully on board with me to do that. And I appreciate her for that, because if it wasn't for her being behind me, I would have never pursued it.
Yeah.
And so I left, and last day of a sales quarter, which is like the best day, for sales, and we had 2 months of reserves. That's it. 2 months of reserves, and I was like, okay. I quit. I freaked out for a week. Didn't know what to do. I was like, I'm not doing enough stuff,
Yeah.
And I just started training kids in fields, 5, 6, 7 locations a day. And that was starting early morning. I'd rent space from other gyms to train a couple clients there, and I just made it work.
Yeah.
And we did 5, 6, 7, 8 months of that until around this October, November time frame. And that kind of got us to Colleyville. And so we had clients in Euless, Grapevine, Keller, and Colleyville was kind of the central place that we were going to be able to train them all. So that kind of started the journey, and 7 years later, we're here, and a place to call our own, and where it's growing and continuing to grow. And as our family dynamics are changing, we're getting older, our goals are changing a little bit, but the same focus is there, which is helping people.
Yeah.
So
Beautiful.
it's kind of my story.
I love it. It's cool. Casey.
Yeah, so I grew up athlete, gymnast, cheerleader, and other sports in between there, but those were the primary focuses. I think gymnastics is kind of where I harbored all of my athleticism from, where my skill sets still are there, and grew up, graduated from Colleyville, kind of completely fell away from athletics or sports, typical story, go to college, gain 20 pounds, don't work out. I never really liked working out. I liked the sport of gymnastics and cheerleading, but I didn't like going to the gym. Granted, we weren't taught weightlifting.
Yeah.
Right.
So several years went by. I had a child, and after having my son, I was unhappy. I was in a toxic relationship. I was in a bad spot, depressed, alone, no friends, and my brother introduced me to CrossFit. He's like, we're gonna go to CrossFit. You're gonna love it. I'm like, well, what is it? He's like, don't worry about it. You're just gonna love it. I'm like, all right, I don't know what I'm signing up for. Well, I will never forget that first day's workout that just crushed me. And I'm like, this is so stupid. But the rest of the week, I thought, man, I didn't think I was ever going to be able to get through that, and I did it.
Yeah.
And I just drank the Kool-Aid. I felt good about myself. It built my confidence up, and I committed to going, and it's the first time I ever woke up at 6 a.m. to go work out in my life.
Right.
And now I coach 5 a.m. class, which is an even further stretch.
I get you.
But I immediately, I acclimated to competing very quickly.
The athlete came back real quick.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Doesn't never really leave, you know.
Yeah, but it was all new to me. So like all of the weightlifting, anything barbell was all new. So I was just trying to gain as much knowledge as I could, and shadowing. I started shadowing, over at Grapevine and coaching over there, and just I fell in love with it. And I've always loved helping people. I'm a people person. I enjoy relationships, and it just, balancing the two. At that time, I was chasing competitor and learning, to coach CrossFit. And I was kind of in like this place of which one am I doing?
Yeah.
And even when I met Kadimah, I was on the competitor route. I was training very heavily. And eventually it just came to the point where it was like, I got to choose one path or the other, because I'm not that person that can juggle my family, competing, and and being a trainer. So I prayed about it and chose this path, and chose to jump on board to open the gym and help other people. And it was not that competing is a selfish decision, but it was a rewarding choice.
You have to be selfish to compete.
Yep.
I mean, not that you have to be, but that's kind of to be your best, to train, to acquire all the skills that it takes to be a serious competitor. It's about you. It's about you.
Your sleep, your eating, a lot of focus on you.
It feels like the choice between.
I think Braden had the same.
Yeah,
same
absolutely.
deal.
Like fairly recently, honestly, the choice between choosing the coaching path and choosing the athlete path really comes down to, do you love helping people more than you love helping yourself?
Absolutely.
And really, I mean, just like you guys, that's what I fell in love with, was helping and giving back.
It's more rewarding.
Like
I said, as an athlete and competing, I have way more pleasure watching my athletes compete and going to their games way more than I ever did.
Yes.
And I enjoyed my games. I enjoyed training. You know what I mean? That was new to me, how much I love watching my athletes and how much I love giving to them. So that's kind of what, next kind of topic I want to get into with you guys.
Let me ask you a question, if it's okay if before we kind of move.
Please.
It's like, even though you know that,
I think we have the same question in our head.
yes, even though you know that, there's still something there that, because what you run into is we give, right? And I know that I'm better capable of an athlete than I just displayed today.
Yeah.
Even if it's 4 hours of sleep, and you're used to getting just slot workouts. Hey, just start that timer. We're going in 5 seconds. I don't know what we're doing, but we're going to go in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, that was really slow. I feel old. My knee hurts. My back
numbers
hurts.
are down, way down.
Yes, like I did this workout a year ago at the same time, and I'm slower again.
Right.
So there's still that, and what it does sometimes is it can create confusion on what your still mission is. So it's like I always have to keep that in check.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
So that's what I was going to ask you, if you struggle with that as well.
Oh, absolutely.
He gets mad all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
I missed a number today.
He's throwing
Yeah.
stuff away quick. He
Yeah.
goes off for about 20 minutes. I don't know what he's doing.
Gone.
He's walking around steaming.
Nice.
And then he comes back. I'm good.
Yeah. And it is that, keeping that, you have to keep that on the forefront of why you're doing what you're doing, right? Because as soon as that's back to the forefront, those doubts about, or those feelings of feeling inadequate with your lifting and your competing, they go away.
Yeah.
Because I see the help that I'm providing to everybody else.
Right.
It's a little bit easier for me because, like I said, I just started working back out again since I opened the gym, where I've never done CrossFit. Like the fact that you can compete, and I know if I would have got into it and started competing, I would have been all in and been like, I can go to the games. And now even sometimes with the Masters, I'm like, let me see what I can do. I can get into the Masters. I can do this.
Yeah.
It's there because we're athletes, right?
Yes,
You always have
yes,
that in the back of your
yes.
head.
Yep.
Pro athletes still deal with it. I bet Kobe Bryant's still looking at it and being like, I can get out there and whoop half these guys right now.
Yes.
Right?
It's a niche that'll always be there.
It's always there, right? Like it's always, even when I stopped playing football, I always wanted to go back. I always had that itch to go back, right? You're going to have that. But, you know, and as we move into the coaching part, my biggest thing and what I want to talk to you guys about, and I feel from you guys, is coaching. What does it mean to you guys really, really to be a coach? Because I know for me, like I was talking to you guys earlier, everything that I do for my kids, for my members, is everything I wish I would have had. And what really gets me upset now is when I hear some of my kids talk about their coaches right now. And what you guys kind of said, you saw all your coaches quitting and going into administration and going anything. To me, I think coaching is one, a calling, but I think sometimes people forget that it's that. There's a calling. You impact people's lives tremendously. It doesn't matter if we see them for an hour a week or we see them for 3 hours a week. Those 3 hours a week that they're with you, it changes their lives.
Yes.
It is that serious. So when I see high school, middle school coaches, it bothers me because it's more than just a check. And I understand you're feeding your family. I understand you have to feed your family. You got to do those things. But that's with anything. You have to feed your family. That's, you know, a pastor has to feed his family. That doesn't mean he can slack on his preaching.
Yes.
Right. And so that's kind of, you know, other thing I like meeting with you guys and meeting with people is I definitely want to get the word out about coaching and how passionate you have to be as a gym owner. You're in it for people and to coach people, to give them your best knowledge, your best inspiration, your best. We're giving that to them. Kind of what does coaching do for you guys? What has it done for you guys? What kind of insight to people has it given you? I'll let Braden answer this one first, and then we can go down the line.
Well, I mean, the first and foremost, like he said, you know, it's a calling. I honestly fell into coaching. Like, I could call it that. Like, I went to A&M Commerce for a year and came back, didn't know what I was going to do, and he told me I had a job. I came in, and I always knew I wanted to be in the field, but I was 19. I never gave it real thought, you know what I mean? But I fell in love immediately because I'd always, in the back of my mind, I always knew I wanted to help people.
Well,
right?
wait. Your Instagram message, or Twitter message was, I want to revolutionize.
Facebook.
I want to revolutionize the fitness game.
Yeah, I did. I posted that on Facebook at one point, and it's remained true to this day. Like with what we're doing and what we want to try to do, like it is what I want to do is help revolutionize. And back to your coaching and how it requires passion and what
You got back to that pretty good. Good job.
what we're visceral to.
Yeah.
I've had kids tell me they want to quit the sport because of their coaches, and that just, it drives me insane. I think that when they get really into, like, when they're real deep into coaching, if they are getting in it for a check, they forget why they joined. You know what I mean? Why they did it to begin with. It was the passion that you have for helping people. And, you know, sometimes these distractions come up, and then you end up unintentionally taking it out on the kids, right? And making them want to quit because you have your own problems that you're dealing with, right? So I think as far as insight into people and insight into what a coach means, it's a responsibility, and I think it's a very unique position, even because it's not a teacher, it's not a parent, it's a coach. I mean, it's a coach. It's a mentor.
Yeah.
It's what it is. Like that's a responsibility that you take on when you label yourself as a coach, and that's something that I learned over the last few years. You know, working under Mo, working at Elite, is how much impact we have on people. Even if it is just for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour a day, 2 days a week. That was one of the biggest things that I've learned is just you have to own that every single day, day in and day out, even if you have your own stuff going on. That was one of the biggest lessons that I've learned, truthfully.
I think you can look at coaching in two ways. I think you can look at coaching and I think that we do our best to do this. So I think the first thing is really trying to professionalize what coaching is.
Yeah.
That's the first thing.
For sure.
Is I'm not going to under any circumstances just throw somebody into the fire.
Yep.
That's the first thing that we're going to make sure that gets done. You know, and and then from there, it's really no matter what, giving somebody the exact, and what I mean by same experience is very methodical in that process. We're going to sit down with you. We want to know really why you want to lose 10 pounds. Because there's people that come in that say they want to lose 10 pounds, but it's more than 10 pounds. Sometimes it comes out when we've uncovered for 30 minutes of conversation. The reason why I'm here is because I wore these shorts 3 years ago, and somebody said my legs look like cottage cheese. Or something. Yeah. And although it was a joke and we're really close friends, it hurt my feelings, and I'm finally wanting to do something about it. You know, like, bam, there it is.
That's
right?
the reason.
And being a psychologist, really, you know, and trying to uncover that mystery is the first part. Really uncovering and that, and really getting down in that. And then really, you talk about the other piece is that is the actual acumen of coaching. You know, and it's not a certification. It's really you know, in a lot of ways for you, apprenticing under Mo is kind of the approach that we've taken. You know, like there are so many things that we learn from each other, and little sayings and cues that we steal. Hey, thank you. That's going in my grab bag.
Yeah. I'll put that right here.
Yes, because we understand that what is the end goal? Is to help people get there faster than they think they, and really, some of them never think they're going to get there. So not only do I want to do it, I want to do it faster than they ever imagined that they could do it.
Yeah.
Part of being a coach is seeing the best part of someone no matter what.
Yeah.
We're able to forecast. It's really cool when we have a conversation about someone who doesn't see what we see.
Yeah.
Like we go, if they could only see, they'd be dangerous.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If they could only see this, they'd be this.
All day.
And so much so that it'll hurt us if a life circumstance, it's something that they can't control, if they have to move.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we don't really get to finish this.
Yeah.
We don't get to finish this piece of it, you know. And it is, you know, a lot of what you said about dealing with your own personal circumstances and having to put those aside for that person. That's a daily thing.
Yeah.
That's a daily thing, you know. Oh, you've trained 6-7 hours in a row? Oh, you haven't eaten yet? Yeah, you need to still get a pep up here and get ready because you got number 8 coming.
Because they deserve the same the number 1 guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
I might eat in front of them.
You got you.
Everybody
That's
just
this guy.
listen.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah,
all the
you
time.
don't
5
want,
more.
You don't want me hating.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't think that funk very well.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much what you guys said. I think that there's. I really feel like a lot of the time in a one-on-one or a situation, which we do a lot of personal training, I think that it's very goal-oriented, so it's really about getting to know the person and getting to know what they need and being able to speak their language, whatever that may be. Everybody is different, so having those different cues in your pocket or, you know, different progressions or just being able to communicate with that person on their level and kind of meeting them where they're at, I think is a big part of coaching, being a good coach, being a good teacher. And, you know, how I coach my 8-year-old son is not going to be the same way that I coach my 64-year-old personal training person. You know, it's just there's a difference there. I also think that the therapist comes out in those one-on-one sessions much more so than in a group setting. But yeah, I mean, emotionally, it's very I don't want to say taxing, but it's a lot.
You give your all.
You give it all.
We're giving ourselves to you.
And we care.
Yeah.
You know, so whenever I go home, I might still be thinking about, you know, man, I wonder what's going on with that person. You know, what can I do to help them in that situation? And it has nothing to do with what they're doing in the gym, but that's just, it's a part of coaching that you take on. And then you know, as far as, I mean, we coach a lot of kids as well. So, you know, I think that there's different little aspects of coaching in all these different realms, whether it be technical, like, that's one of the reasons I love coaching little kids, because they're fresh. I'm not correcting anything. I can teach you from scratch. And
Moldable.
Yeah, they're moldable, and it's fantastic. however, you get some older kids that maybe have had some of the coaching experiences like you guys may have had, and then we're like, let's back this up.
It's like a psychological game at that point.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and it's hard to get a teenage kid to backtrack
Yeah,
when they
yeah.
want to just
No.
I know I can lift that. I know I can lift that. That's a challenging task. And speaking as a female, I think that sometimes that can be even harder. Now, I feel that I have quite a bit of respect around here, you know, but sometimes that comes out, and a guy's like, you know,
They're
I'm not gonna be
machismo.
coached by a girl.
Yeah.
You know, they've never said that, but
Yeah.
I can hear
Yeah,
it.
Yeah. I like what you said. You brought up the psychology of it. I think that people don't know how much psychology goes behind coaching. It's and that's another big thing I've learned throughout the years is it's more of a psychological game than a physical game anyways. Like the physical part of coaching, teaching somebody how to maneuver in a weight room is pretty easy, I'd say. It's about the, motivating them, or like we talked about in one of our shows, sometimes you got to trick a person into giving them the right amount of intensity to get them where they want to go, right? So I think that is a very big aspect that's ignored. Even like people think coaching, they think about training, think, oh, I'm running some kids through some ladders, calling it a day. Like no, like you become an integral part of these people's lives.
Well, that's
Yeah,
where
build 'em up.
you say the professionalism
Yes.
of coaching, and that's kind of what I want. That's why I want my kids that come through to come in and to train them is I want to make this professional. We're professional coaches, and that goes to the point of one of the biggest things that I hate, that I'm visceral to, is people saying, "Oh, I'm gonna come see you, but I gotta get myself in shape before I come see you." Before I'm like, no, my job as a coach is to take you as you are and get you to where you want to go. That's what I do. It doesn't matter if you've been on the couch for 5 years, 10 years. Come in. I'm gonna get you where you need to go.
Yes.
Yeah.
The right way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because what you've been doing hasn't been working for you.
And are you even gonna do it?
Are you gonna do it?
Yeah.
No. And now I'm not gonna see you. So come
Yeah.
in. Let's start where you're at. Like I say, it's not about where you start
So we own the finish
all day.
all day. Every day.
And that's what it is, and that's what just coaching is to me. You guys all hit it on the head perfectly, all those things. The psychology of it, the technical aspect of it, the caring of it. And the thing is, we care and seeing what we see in somebody that they don't see in themselves.
Yes.
And the main thing, and what I tell him all the time, and what I tell makes a good coach, you guys know how to teach somebody how to squat. You guys know we all know how to do that. But the thing is, that's an important thing, but the most important thing, I think, what gets people to keep coming back is I care.
No.
Sure.
We care.
Relationship.
I care about you. Period. Now, of course, anybody that's a coach and says they're a coach can teach you how to squat. And some people are going to be more technical and use all the scientific words and give you all that. But you're still learning how to squat. What's different from a real coach is they care.
Yes, and I think even the experience on how they learn, it's fun to watch. So sometimes if she's coaching someone, like I like to watch for like 5 minutes, depending on what they're learning, and because sometimes it's a refresher course for me, and I may pick up something that she learned new. Because even though we tell each other like, hey, I think this book is really good for you to read right now because this is going to help us when we're identifying new coaches, like potential people. We had this discussion probably a week ago. About 2 weeks ago, and so, but she may also figure out an article, and she's like, "Hey, I think you need to check this out." I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'll check this out." And so then she's putting that article in the place, and I get to see how I could utilize that skill immediately. It's not only teaching the squat, but it's the experience that the person has within the teaching of the squat.
Yeah.
Or we're teaching a snatch and a clean, and you have this is their fourth session of them coming back to work on that movement. They still want to get it.
Yeah.
Or maybe they just backtrack and they've lost some of that skill and they need to come back and do it again. And you're doing repetition after repetition. Or, had a client just last Thursday, around a little earlier than this time. And we were working on kipping pull-ups. And this has been an ongoing saga. Well, we got her one step closer than she was last time. But what we ended up with was Kipping Toasted Bar. She never had those before.
Yeah.
So we've been working on this. She didn't have either one. So we were working on Kipping pull-ups, and we end up getting the thing we weren't even necessarily working on.
Yeah.
It was the same cue, but she could really feel it this time. The light bulb came on, and it was like she won the lottery.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
like
right.
it was like that moment, you know, and all the repetitions and the sore hands were worth it right there at that
Calluses,
moment.
all that.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was every bit of that was worth it at that moment.
And those are the moments why you keep
Yes.
doing
Keep
it,
moving,
and
yes.
you keep going,
Yes.
you keep pushing through. You know, and that's why we want to be coaches, and that's what coaching is to you guys, and that's what it is to all of us.
Yeah.
What I want to touch on a little bit more, guys, is just kind of for him, where I want him to be is, you know, I want him to grow as a trainer, grow as a business person, and like we were just discussing today, is his ultimate goal is to want to be a partner with me, right? From being a mentor, being a mentee, to being an intern, to being a coach, to being, you know, the natural progression of things.
Sure.
With anybody starting a business, you guys know it's not easy. The ups and downs and these or that. What I want to discuss with you two is how the relationship of being business partners.
Sure.
Which isn't an easy thing. I'm gonna touch
Hey,
on that.
how are things going
The
at
marriage
home?
of that.
You know?
How has
Just
that
really
been? Because
being-
you know,
Can you slap on that?
Involved
right?
in,
Because you
in
have a
each other's
vision,
business
right?
it
And that
helps
vision has to be
us to stay
married
connected,
together.
and we
equally
we
yoked.
tend
I'll
to
use that word.
Sure.
kind of bounce off of each other. So if
you
I'm
guys can both give your members.
if I'm struggling with something, he's like, "Hey,
Right
what's
now
going
it's
on?"
just,
You know,
I'm the guy.
I mean, he can
I'll
see
take
it,
his opinion,
and
but the decision is mine.
I think that
How do you guys
I
work
don't know. I
that
think
out?
that communication is
And what is that
honestly
like?
when there's a lack
You wanna
of
start?
communication,
I think
there's
we
a
can just
struggle.
both go at
Yeah.
the same time.
And when there's not,
You start talking.
I think
Easy peasy.
yeah, I think it works
about
exactly
teamwork.
like marriage.
Yeah.
I think so. There
I think part of it
are
comes down to,
good days,
as well as like,
there are bad
you're
days.
talking about vision.
There are
And
disagreements.
we got
There
to
are
talking about this
a
a
lot
little
of
bit earlier,
conversations.
but
We meet a lot.
sometimes we
talk
have
a lot.
really,
we have
like,
a lot of different avenues
think
for,
it's
for
healthy to
communication as well.
talk about vision at least a
think
couple times a year where
it
you
literally
really dove down into that
portrays
vision, like what you're
exactly
feeling right
how
now,
I
and
think
because
of
it does
marriage
change.
Yeah.
is that
You know,
when
and so,
communication
like,
is open.
now I
and
try to
flowing, and
anticipate that in
we're
terms
talking
of-
to each other regardless of if it has anything to
I
do
think
with what's
I
going
try to
on
think
in
from
the
her point of
business
view.
or not.
Her son's gonna be 9 this year. It's gonna be double digits next year.
16 days,
Yeah,
15 days.
yeah, it's crazy. And so I remember when he was 5. You know, like I saw him with his big head. When he was 5, just kind of. And so, like, I look at that and I think about what her passion is right now. Does it mean is the gym her passion? Yes. Is her family her passion? Yes. Is her other pursuits her passion? Yes. So they all go together. So what we have to do is balance all those things in the way that they support every single thing that we're doing at the same time, which requires that communication from us, you know? Like, we both want the same thing, which for us is continue helping people, but not at the sacrifice of our families.
Yeah.
Right now that is happening. You know, and we're constantly on the avid pursuit. Like when I look at, you know, when we sit down, whether that's before she leaves for the end of the year, because it'll be her 1-year anniversary coming up, marriage anniversary. Before that time, hopefully, we will get to sit down and really delve down what 2019 looks like. I'm already in my mind going, this is what I want to do. You know, but we need to want to do that together and make sense of it together and really balance off of that together, because then we can truly go, she sees something and there'll be an opportunity that is presented because she's with me, you know, and I'm with her. I think that's the vision has to be first and foremost. But a lot of times it's just, you know, in marriage you talk about not doing the things, or like when you were on your best behavior, you know, when you were trying to get that person, you don't stop doing those things. So the same thing is if she's here and it's late, you know, well, I can do a couple things before I leave for her.
Yeah.
You know, even if she may say, no, I got it, you know, I'm just gonna sneak away and do it, you know, real quick. Or she does the same thing, you know, like, hey, do you need something? Hey, do you want a coffee? You know, that, you know, and she'll be like, and I'll be like, yeah, just surprise me. You
Yeah.
know, I don't really care what it is.
Yeah.
You know, but it's those little things that keep the dynamics going. You know, that is always kind of her way of saying, hey, just want you to know I'm thinking about you. Everything's good. You know, that kind of stuff. You know, that is the constant dynamic that we're trying to. Because 2 years from now, if you say like you're doing the exact same thing, and now her son is older, and the dynamic, you know, her husband has maybe a different job, or it's costing more time, or, you know, I could be like, man, you know, I've been spending a really, really long time away from my wife, and this is, she was supposed to be my priority. That could change my perspective on what I want. You know, so we don't want any of those things to be on the other side, so we're hard driven pursuing to change, like to grow. Because growth not for the sake of monetarily demand, growth for the sake of balance, because I have a passion for learning, spending time, wanting to travel more, and just being, for my wife specifically, just being more in her presence. You know, so I can only do that if I become a better business owner, if I become a better coach, and I learn how to help others do the same thing that you're doing great at.
Yeah,
So,
love it. So, you know, owning Elite for 5 years, and kind of the things like ups and downs and different changes, and, you know, things are never going to go the way you plan them to go. You got to be ready for the curveball. You got to be ready for the changes. Kind of for you guys, give me one or two things from year 1 to year 4 that you guys didn't see coming, that, you know, because whoever's listening and whoever's watching this, they're going to go through things. If they want to start their own business, or they're in business, or whatever, they may find themselves in one of these situations. And, you know, that's kind of my biggest thing, and for my kids or for anybody, I lived the life. I've made the mistakes. And so what I try to help with Brayden is give him the answer, so he's not going to make the same mistakes. He make less mistakes. He may make the same mistake, but I know he had the answer, and he at least could weigh it, or kind of, I know he made the choice, and he at least had all the information for all my kids, in life, in business, and anything. Gave them the answers they know, or they know they have somebody to come to and talk to about it. Kind of where those, from year 1 to year 4, something that you guys didn't expect, good or bad, that turned out to be a plus, or they usually turn out to be a plus, or usually work around it, whatever it is. Give me something that you guys have gone through just by opening the business and being business owners.
oh man.
I know it's loaded. That's like that's a lot. There's a lot. There's something every day, every week.
Let's just
right?
start with construction.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's start before we do construction. When we first looked at this place, okay,
Which is amazing.
Dope
You guys,
spot,
'cause I
by the
know,
way.
I know what this was before,
It
and
was
what you
scary.
guys have turned it into is
appreciate
amazing.
that.
It's really cool.
They're in
When-
Old Terra Village.
so when we first looked at this place, I'll never forget her reaction, because there was, if you can imagine, there was a bar, and there was 5 layers of flooring. Okay, there was like literally 5 layers of flooring. There was a bar. There was all these weird house shacks in here. There was dishes
Trash.
everywhere. There was trash everywhere. There was like, it used to be like a salon at some point. So there was like salon sinks still here. Upstairs in the office, there was HVAC lines coming out of the windows to out here. And me being a developer mind, I was like, this place is perfect.
I was like,
She was like, this place is
"No."
terrible. This place is disgusting.
It smells
There's no
bad.
way we're gonna make it, you know. And so that first part was hilarious, you know, because. But I think she could kind of see, like, it had some backbones, like it had some good bones, you know.
That's
It was
great.
enough for her to believe.
Yeah.
You know. So we take on this project, and then my optimistic side was like, "Oh, we'll be done with this in like a month." And it was, it was double the time. It was absolutely double the time. One of the things that scared me the most is because our dynamics of our business, like we were talking about before, kind of before we started the show, was the space that is required for one athlete to work out is quite different than what a traditional conventional gym would be, you know, where they have machinery stationed in place and it's just one person moving around and kind of occupying that space. So with the city, they were, hey, you're going to have to do $50,000 more of fire work. You need to have pull down switches over here, back door, upstairs. And we operated with a very slim budget to make this thing work. And I can remember going, okay, I think I know the answer. So we had an engineer an architect had to draw on the drawings specifically where the rig was going to go. And then he had to draw barbells on it with the correct dimensions to show how much adequate space one person would take, just the barbell alone.
Yeah.
And that's what got us through the radar. So that was the $50,000 bullet that we dodged. That would have sunk us in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that was like
big
that
bullet.
hurdle. I can remember the moment that we got that certificate of occupation. It was
I
the happiest
never
day
thought
of
we were
our
gonna
lives.
get it.
Oh my
All the
gosh.
emotions look like they're coming back.
Yeah, for real.
It was just so monumental. And it was like, okay. Now it's like, oh crap, this is now starting.
Yeah,
Like,
and then what was our first day? The open.
yes, it was the next workout. So I think that was one. I think the other thing I would say is hiring quality coaches. I would say by far that's probably the hardest thing and challenge that we've rose up to at this point. The constant attempting and trying and interviews and no shows on interviews. And I think we thought by now we'd have more coaches.
Yeah.
For
sure.
the coaching situation, for me, luckily I have a good friend who we started training together, and that he helps and assists, and that's been a huge help. Like I was telling you earlier, for me, I have a certain way I want to do things, that I want things done, and really, truthfully, how you treat my athletes and the feeling that you give my athletes is number one. Like, I don't care what you know, how you know it. I want you got to treat every person
Yes.
the way I would treat them. That's number one. So what I've approached with that is and people think I'm crazy for it, but I like my kids that graduate or have come through the program, I train them to be my coaches.
Yeah.
And it's going to take longer. It's a longer process.
Raising them.
But there's a couple ways to do it, right? You can
Yes.
go do interviews and deal with normal trainers who look at it as a job.
Sure.
Or you can grow your own trainers that understand what this place is. And with Braden, he knows what the place gave to him. I have so many kids that, can we intern? Can we be here? Can we do this? And because we teach our program and it has a method and a certain rhythm,
Sure.
it's easy to kind of pick up. And I'll be on a rack down like into the room, and I have, one of my kids teaching their brother or their little sister everything I told them 2 years ago. You know what I mean? So that's kind of cool to see. And so that's kind of what I do with that. And it's going to take me longer, but like, if I turn everybody in the room into a coach, we're kind of good. Like, we can,
Sure.
it's
Not
a
only
Band-Aid,
that,
we can kind of fix it.
But like going through that interviewing process and things like that, and people that have been trainers at other places that come into your facility or our facility and want to train, like they'll have their own philosophies also, right? So I think that's another cool thing of like taking kids that have been through your program or our program. Their philosophy is the only thing they've ever known, which is our philosophy.
Yes.
It makes that
Yeah.
process way easier and smoother.
Yeah. I mean, they're just younger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
You're
But
building the culture.
yeah, I want to.
Yeah.
I want to build it from the inside.
Yeah.
Because the culture is the most important thing to me.
Yeah.
Because what I want is this place to be from the community to the community, about the community. This is where I grew up with. This is what that's why I came back here. That's why I moved back, is to be able to help all the little mo's that I would have saw and wish, somebody would have pulled me to the side and be like, hey kid, you got talent. Let me show you how to get to where you want to go. And that's it, period. But I also want to be able to, my parents are getting older. I want to make sure my parents know how to work out and know how to stay healthy and stay fit. Or, my dad just had knee surgery. I want to make sure I can rehab his knee and he knows he has a place to go to. Like I said, we train everybody from 5 to 75. And that's family, right? That's somebody in your family. Or if you have kids, that's in that same group.
Yes.
So I want to make sure they're all taken care of. That's what that's about for me. That's the easy way to fix that. Besides that was some of the curveballs y'all have taken.
Did you have any curveballs?
No, I mean, there's like 100 million.
That's good. No, we're good. We're good on the curveball. Besides that, what I was going to get into we kind of got into it by, coaches and how you guys find coaches. And where do you guys see yourselves going? Actually, let's do this. You guys are CrossFit or DT, School of Fitness, and CrossFit.
Yeah.
What do you guys do right now as a gym as far as training and classes? And where do you guys see yourselves? Where do you guys want to be going?
I'll take the classes. So, classes, I think we try to basically just run really structurally so that everybody is treated equally. We, of course, every day is a little different. We always are in a strength cycle of some sort. We do a lot of skill work for warm-up, different warm-up every day, but we communicate among the AM and the PM to make sure that those are consistent, or as consistent as possible, depending upon the size of the class. But we try to start on time and make it just, kind of clockwork for them when they come in. And I think that the biggest goal is we say all the time, like, let's make this the best hour of their day. Let's have some fun. So we're both silly and fun, but we try to give everyone attention in classes. It doesn't matter if you're in class or if you're in a personal training session, you're still getting attention. You're not going to come in the door and nobody say your name.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of our kind of theory on how we run the classes.
Well,
And she's really kind of to just expand on what she said is really, really accurate. I mean, literally the lesson plan, for the class is by the minutes. It's literally from 0 to 8 minutes. You're doing this warm up. Hey, watch out for this cue on this. From 8 to 12, they're doing mobility. Hey, this is the mobility movements. If you need the video, here's the video below. 12 to this is bathroom time. Because they're gonna have to go, I need to go to the bathroom. Hey, bathroom time here and get equipment. Oh, they come to the board, etc. And it's just going down the line, So she does a really good job of helping out and kind of laying that out and displaying that and going, this is where we're gonna be. And then I return
a woman's touch.
Exactly. And so in the morning, whoever really is kind of designing the morning kind of leads that process and kind of helps us. So I look at, our programming is done far in advance, but sometimes the warm-ups, at least the finer details of that, aren't done that far in advance because there's just dynamics that change and your brain gets foggy. So you're just glad you got the huge components together, and you've got that thinking together. So after that, it just becomes the finer details we can have when we're kind of in that presence, and it just comes to you. You just know what you're going to do.
Well, plus, people they're sore. This is hurting. This is bothering. So people start repeating the same things, like, oh, you have this, you have this.
Or
this
somebody
is a
walked
thing.
in 5 minutes late.
That too.
There are a lot of variables.
Yeah.
What was the other part of that question?
Where do you want to go? And kind of what do you want to go? And kind of what? I don't think we've ever discussed. What are you guys like? CrossFit, functional fitness, or whatever. Not even put a label on it. But where do you guys see? What do you guys see yourselves as? And where do you see you guys going?
Okay, so I would say we are a licensed CrossFit affiliate. We started out that way, and I think it's kind of in a way for a couple things. In a lot of ways, it's some of the cheapest marketing and advertising you're going to receive. It's kind of one piece of it if you're just looking at the number itself. But really, we're growing farther and farther away from that. And it's not because we don't love CrossFit. We do. But the problem is, and we had this discussion off camera, is that I am not in control of who I can identify myself if I lead with the name CrossFit. Although I love CrossFit, we do CrossFit every day. CrossFit is the best strength and conditioning program as a base in general physical preparedness. It is not your strategic or specific if you're going to have a football athlete that you're specifically trying to train to run the 40 faster, or you're trying to train the vertical leap, or even from a competitive standpoint. Like if you're trying to train cheer, it's a great background and starting point, but there's just things that you cannot train. Via CrossFit. So if we want people to experience it, then we have to.
As long as
like
we're
kind of like trick
established
people
here.
into doing certain things.
Mm-hmm.
But when we
The
come
same
down to
thing.
really what I think we are is I see it from that standpoint that I'm going to pay homage to CrossFit because we utilize maintain, we utilize the modalities, and we're always going to, and have the best quality of life they can as long as they can. That's what we're here for. Is to get people to think outside the box, get into an exercise program, get into a rhythm and a groove, and make exercise, even though it's some of the most painful and workouts they've ever done in their lives, after they've gotten to a certain point, they keep coming back.
Yeah.
And they ask for more, and they add, and they challenge themselves. So the same challenges that they learn in the gym, they take out of the gym with them in their lives. You know, in terms of where we want to go, we've been discussing this kind of off and on in little bits and pieces. You know, I see ourselves never stopping coaching. I never want to stop coaching, but I do see myself not being as on the floor heavy as I am now. And I think that is really my outlook for the next year, is that we're going to look at really finding assistance for us to make sure we can start to maintain a little bit better balance for our families.
Yeah.
That's where our immediate future is, you know, and having a stringent schedule. You know, our schedule now is I open tomorrow, so like it'll be, you know, open 5, so I'll get up at 4. Open 5 a.m. class. I have 5 a.m. class, 6 a.m. class, 7 a.m. client, 8 a.m. clients, 9 a.m. class, 10 a.m. client, 11 a.m. client, 12 noon client. So that'll be all those hours in a row, just back to back to back to back. And then if she hasn't already, I don't even know what her schedule is tomorrow. It's probably
4, 5, 6.
yeah. So she'll have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then Saturday I'll start at 8. And then I'll have a little break between 8, and then I'll have 10, 11, 12, and a little cleanup here in the gym, etc. That's just the training, you know, that doesn't count the cleanup and all the other fun stuff that you got to do.
Yeah.
But we have this schedule that goes like this, you know, and it's
Open,
because
close, open, close,
yes,
open, close.
yes, you know, and so it's like that right now. It's changing. Things are happening and things are in place where that is going to change very quickly, because we have somebody who we believe is a go-getter, who's hungry, who's humble, who's smart, and who's ready to step in. You know, so we're excited about what that's going to bring the dynamics for our business, and that's really what I think immediate future. Now, if you told me 10 years down the road where I want to be, I would want to be in a place medically where almost like people who are being prescribed by their doctor to they need to participate in a program. You know, we're already kind of more venturing towards that clinical side.
I think it's getting there.
Yeah,
for sure.
And we're kind of venturing towards that right now. Like, we have a dietitian who's here, you know, and we have technology that we've been able to utilize and find that's allowing us to professionalize the process of measurements. And you think about that simple little thing, especially if you do it really well, you're doing it 3 times.
Yeah.
You're taking the average of the 3.
Yeah.
Then you got to do it again. That's 30 minutes of time.
Calculate those.
Yes, you know, and now it's 35 seconds, and you can have this accurate number of where you are today. You can do the same thing every week, and it's hands off for me. So we look at that process. You know, I think we would ideally, because we do so much personal training, I think we both would like a little bit more space. We've kind of talked about that a little bit.
Yeah.
And we're talking maybe 1,000, 1,500 square feet or something like that. To provide a very, very private training area for some people that we know that are a little bit more nervous about being around people. You know, but I see that immediate where we are now, and I can get my head out of the clouds once we get some breathing room. You know, we get a little bit more breathing room. I think we can both really collaborate and think more clearly. You know, when your heads are in the reeds the whole time, and you're just close to that tree, and you're just grinding all the time.
Yeah, I know that grind.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you guys have any questions for us, I'm gonna give you guys some time. If you have any questions for us, other than that, I think we're good.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess for, you know, what do you guys look at? You know, we kind of talked about this off camera, but, you know, future for you, you're looking at being a partner. You know, and that's kind of in your wants and your things right now. What does it look like for you?
For me, I mean, I really, my problem is I like to do it all. I like training one-on-ones. I like doing the classes. I definitely like mentoring. That's a thing that I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know that was one of my things. I really enjoy working with the kids as well. And it's kind of just really figuring out where I need to be, where the best place for me to be is. Like recently, well, probably the past year, I let him kind of take over more of the high school program. so I could do my one-on-ones and do other things in the evening, which was really hard because that was my baby. That was what I really put all my energy into, was growing that and working with the kids. But I noticed the kids react to him the same way they react to me, and so that's what made it a little bit easier to let him kind of take care of that. And then so I could go out and do some other team sports and work on some other teams. Really, I would like to be. I'd like to get. I'd like to where more people can come in and coach underneath us and learn how to coach. Kind of raise the professionalism and teach them kind of our philosophy on what coaching is and what to give people. And I guess kind of be more of a teacher to trainers.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this plenty of times, actually, is like, being as young as I am in this profession, I've noticed that it's not a profession all the way. You know what I mean? Like, yes, there are coaches, there are trainers, but you say all the time, I know a lot of people that used to be trainers, right? So I think that's another thing I kind of fell in love with was revolutionize the fitness industry, right?
Creating it where people can, they graduate and they can be a trainer and they can feed a family and they can get married and they can take care of all those things and do that and it be looked at as respected
and be respected,
for what it is. I mean, because I do rehab, I work with special needs kids, I train sport teams, I do a lot of things than just being a trainer at what some people think, like they just think we're the guy at 24 hour. I sell my own place.
Sure.
Right? Like, no, I do a lot more than that, and I know a lot more than that. And I have people that instead of going to physical therapy, which I tell them to, their kid wants to work with me on the rehab process and have me rehab them. Well, I have to know a little bit to be able to do that. I'm the last one to toot my horn as much as I want to. Well, in the gym, I'll toot it. I won't do it. I won't
just
do
not
it.
on
I
camera.
won't do it. I won't do it out there.
Yeah.
Earn the respect of, we're professionals. We do it all. That's why I call it the headquarters of fitness. Like, we do A to Z. I'm not locked into a box of.
I don't want to put a ceiling.
I just do this, and that's what I do, or I can only do this. Because the first GM I had, he said never say no to anything. He's like, do it all. He goes, you can figure it out, but don't never say no. And by getting that piece of advice, I've done a lot of things, and I'm able to teach him a lot of things. I'm able to help a lot of people.
It's really cool to hear those stories because it's almost like I'm hearing how he learned those lessons that he's giving to me. Because this is the only style I've ever known is do it all, right? That's all I've ever known. It doesn't matter who shows up. You're a trainer. Train them. Figure out what they need. Figure out their capabilities, their limits and things like that. Work around them. And, that comes back to things we talked about earlier, the psychology, everybody's different and things like that. And that's just been really cool to see and listen to those stories and see them within myself, like, oh, well, okay, so I learned that through this client, and like he taught me that over here. He really condensed a lot of things into just this very small amount of time for me, and that's what's really cool to see. And now it's really cool to give that to other kids, being me, and like we have some other mentorees that I'm able to pass those lessons on now. And it's just cool to see how we view the profession and how we never say no. Like it's always, that's just all I've ever known.
Yeah.
Like you just do.
Well, I mean, when you say like condensed your learning, I mean that was the point.
Yeah.
Right. Like I've done it the long hard way, so you don't have to. Like I'll give you the answers. I'll give anybody the answers they want to know, because that makes everybody better.
Yes.
We're able to do more and affect more lives and do more things. And at the end of the day, if you don't know how to do something, I'm there. I'm gonna tell you how to do it. I'm gonna explain why to do it this way, how to do it this way, and where I learned it, and what it's gonna do. And so, because I've done it that way and I've learned, I have a wealth of knowledge to give, and I enjoy giving it, and I enjoy helping that process, and where it's a profession and people take it serious, and they know no matter what it is, they can come to us and get the job done.
Yes.
Like I said, we work with Baylor Hospital right now in Frisco, and that's a thing because of time. I can do that, and I can bring him in, and he's just as qualified. And he's worked with special needs. He worked with all kinds of things because he's been hanging around me, and I've thrown him in the fire to figure it out. So that's really, I want to help more people do this professionally and help, the same thing of the biggest thing, and I think you guys will relate to it, is, keeping the gym open for 5 years. And the mistakes we made in the beginning that I've learned, same thing, right? Like, I know how to run a business. I know how to run a business. I know how to market for a business. I know how to, we're here doing a TV show. I know how to do a TV show, things I didn't know because I never said no, and we tried it, and I had people willing to try it with me.
Sure.
Yeah.
I learned how to do something.
And I think you really hit the nail on the head. We always talked about this, was like, the belief that I didn't go in this and leap in this further was I didn't think that you can actually make a professional wage. And we're talking about not just professional wage, but we talk about, we have an IRA that's set up, for our employees.
Yeah.
We have these systems and processes that are set up for them to actually have a retirement. What does retirement look like, and what does a balanced life look like? And I think that's the biggest part, because if you can work, you can be a workhorse, and what do I need to do to speed up this process? You can do that, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. There's no
Especially
option,
because
failing
it's
is not
not
an
an
option.
option.
It's exactly what you want.
It has to be.
I
Failing
never want to
skimp on the
we
work
gotta,
part.
we gotta,
But I
we gotta
do
win
go
faster. We're only going to be here for a certain amount of time.
We're not winning
and
fast
I don't know
enough.
how long. Although we're taking care of
But I
ourselves,
do
that's
have
really
passion
how.
for that,
Because I know that you look at
if it
somebody who
wasn't
just
for
died
that
recently,
leap of
Charles
faith,
Poliquin.
7
Widely
years ago,
regarded
would
as the
be
best strength coach
for
ever
sure.
to grace this earth, right? So I died at 57
when
years
you
old.
say that
We're
professional,
talking about a guy who was regimented
make
about his breakfast,
a living wage,
and
where they
every
can
single thing that
afford
he
a
did
house and a family, and actually
was
have a schedule
specific
that
around
makes
longevity
sense.
and living the best quality.
It's right
of
up our
life.
alley.
Because we're
Turns
pursuing
out
that every day. Nothing's been truly
You know,
released on it.
Because
but
this is needed.
supposedly he had a
right?
congenital
Like,
heart defect. when
you
he
can
was a
go
kid.
to another
And
gym,
it got fixed in
a
his
global
40s
gym,
or something like that.
and
Something else
get on an
complicated.
elliptical for
But you're
20
talking about
minutes.
somebody
like,
who did
okay,
who lived every
that's-
bit of
I
life to
worked
the
out.
fullest and died at
Right, but you
57
did.
years old.
You didn't
And
train.
didn't
You
look
didn't-
57.
You didn't,
he looked like he was like 42.
maximize your time. You didn't maximize your
jacked.
potential. You're not getting better.
But
you're not getting stronger.
hearing
you're
a
not
story like
feeling
that
better.
makes me
You're
go,
just going in the gym and sweating a little bit. And
It's
leaving.
just-
Seriously.
You don't know how.
Yeah.
So we need to teach that. Now, I'm not gonna say anything about the trainers there, but like, we're professionals at teaching you how to maximize everything you have in your body.
Yes.
The human body is an amazing thing, from healing itself to getting bigger to figuring out how to handle stress and deal with it. And not just that with the body, but how having your body strong and prepared for life helps you out mentally, with your confidence, with how you feel about yourself, with all those things, right? Like they're all tied. They're all tied, right? Like,
I agree.
spending an hour a day taking care of your fitness, like it affects
It's
everything,
yeah.
right? Having a trainer who believes in you and trusts you, like, it's nice to have somebody who believes in you and supports you, and have a support system when maybe nobody else, you don't think anybody else does.
Yeah.
For an hour I'm gonna go with somebody who believes in me, trusts me, is gonna teach me. I'm gonna have a great conversation with them. I love everything that they're about. I love the energy. I soak up the energy that they're with. Like, that's big.
Yeah.
And so really why I like to do this show and want to meet with other gym owners and meet with other people and let the community know that we're here. We're here for you. We're here for them. We're here to make you your best self. And this is what we're about. And this is what we believe in. And this is why we do this. It's not to see your biggest deadlift. Of course, we want to see that. But there's so much more to
Way
what we're,
deeper than that.
there's so much more than what we're doing than telling you how to lift or how to run or how to jump or bothering you. I miss you today. Why aren't you here? Right? The accountability factor. What we're doing is so much bigger to that.
It's helping create a lifestyle.
A lifestyle, a culture of people who take care of each other, who
Take care of
inspire each
themselves.
other, who are building a community to be its best self. And one way to help you be your best self is get in the gym and physically take care of some of those things, and make sure you're capable of facing anything in the gym or anything out in the world. You guys got me preaching. Anyways. That's what it is about, guys. This has been a great episode. Thank you guys for letting us
Thank
come
you so
out
much.
here and talk to you guys. I've been wanting to do this, but we got caught up with our cooking show, which our cooking show will be back. Me and Jack will be back on it.
Stay tuned.
But Kadimah, Casey, thank you guys.
Thank you,
DDT
guys.
School of Fitness, CrossFit 221. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. And as always, as we always end it, love, peace, and happiness. Thank you guys.
Appreciate y'all.
Be good.